There are strict limits on grammar. I'm not opposed to teaching grammar. I'm not opposed to using grammar. I love grammar. I have a PhD in grammar. I love Chomsky. Come on, I think it's great. I like looking through grammar books. See how they do the subjunctive. It's great. But there's nothing wrong with it. It's not evil. It's just limited. It's hard to learn and it's hard to apply. My hypothesis from the studies we did then is that 3 daunting conditions have to be met to use grammar rules. You got to know the rule, you got to be thinking about rules, you have to have time to apply them. This happens when we give people grammar tests, which is where we see the biggest effect. It also can help us here and there when we're editing our writing. There are things that are supposedly correct that even people who've read a lot haven't acquired. I have argued too, there's been a parade of studies in the last 15 years trying to show that grammar is good for you. I'm happy to see them, because at least it's now an empirical question. My summary is when the conditions are met, you see a modest effect. And as you see, I'm happy to say my first article on this was published in Foreign Language Annals. Okay? Does error correction work? Here the hero is John Truscott, who lives in Taiwan. And his studies, they're very thorough, and I've looked at the same data and of course come to the same conclusion. Error correction helps when it satisfies the conditions for use of grammar. Because error correction helps you fine-tune your grammar rules. When you can focus on form, when you have time, when you've studied the rule. What about output, speaking? Do we acquire languages by speaking? No. Speaking is the result. There is no correlation I have found looking at all the studies between the amount people speak, how much they write, and how well they do the language. There just isn't enough output. That destroys all the hypotheses that say it makes a strong contribution. The rage now is comprehensible output, and that is try it out, and if your conversational partner doesn't understand, you keep trying, you keep trying. Finally, you get it right, and they say they finally understand. This is the idea that forced speech is good for you. Subversion is good for you, and making people try. The best counterexample, the research is in my papers, but I'll give you the best counterexample, comes from Garrison Keillor, the Minnesota Language School. They take this guy and they put a gun to his head. They say, we're going to shove you in this helicopter, take you up in the air, and if you don't jump out, we're going to shoot you. If you don't start speaking German, we're going to shoot you and throw you out. The guy knows no German. So they put the gun to his head, put him in the helicopter, and he says, oh, jetzt kann ich sehr gut Deutsch sprechen. Begin to see it doesn't work that way. Need is not enough. You need comprehensible input. Nico Mason has also showed when you add writing to sustained silent reading programs, it does not help. It doesn't increase the power of reading. Finally, I want to put in a good word for what writing is for. Some of you are writing right now. The odds are very good that no one else is going to read what you're now writing, probably not even you. But it helps. Writing takes ideas that are vague, that are abstract. You put them down on the page, they become clear. Writing helps thinking. Writing makes you smarter. My favorite research on this was done by Ann Landers. Advice columnist. Letter to Ann Landers in 1982. Dear Ann, should I marry the guy or not? Let me tell you what the problems are. He's 31, he behaves as if he was 14. He can't hold a job, he's borrowed money from me 3 times in the last year, and he doesn't trust me. When he brings me home at night, he then calls me up again 20 minutes later after he drops me off. He says he's saying a final goodnight. I know he's checking up. He thinks I'm going out with someone else, etc. My parents don't like him. Now the good things. He's very good looking. I find him physically attractive. That's about all. I've been sitting here for 10 minutes with pen in hand, and I can't think of another good thing to say about it. Don't bother answering this letter. You've helped me more than you can imagine. That's the way it works.
For a couple who texted me a couple of questions here, here, Dr. Krashen. First, can you just operationalize really quickly for everyone when you mean comprehensible input?
No. Usually when someone asks that, I say, I don't understand your question. It's pretty much, there's no real definition. Someday we'll do, brainwave studies and we'll be able to tell. Right now, you can tell when someone, you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I'm just feeling text.
See, that's it.
From the audience.
So
right
there's
here.
no clear definition of comprehensible.
So it's not a method. We're just talking about using the language in various ways so that learners can take from that and begin to create.
So they
language.
say they understand, and they act as if they understand. That's the best you can do.
There we go. So
Okay.
I was comprehensible with you at the moment. Another one came in was how do we put the data that you've given us and the findings into action as language teachers? K-12, higher ed, getting some nods here.
The most quick and easy way to do it, the biggest gap we have in the profession, the easiest to fill, interesting, easy reading.
There we go.
In English as a foreign language, they've known this for years. Graded readers, not bad. We are just now catching on in foreign language, and I must say it is the TPRS people who have done this. With their books. No question. Fluency Past, Karen has written books, Blaine Ray has written books. All these things are very, very good. I'm in the middle of reading Lou's Kitten series. We need more. We have a lot of them. We have a lot of reading available. We need 100 times as much. We need to share readings on the internet, etc. Second, start investigating the comprehensible input-based methods. Go to the demonstrations, take the classes, lots of fun. And they do work. The research overwhelming. Frank Smith says, do a little more of what's right, a little less of what's wrong.
There you go. I can appreciate that. A colleague of mine at Georgia State University who's joining us today, Dr. Victoria Rodrigo, former student of yours at USC, has worked with students to develop a reading library, to do extensive reading with the students, and has shown very favorable results doing that. Can you talk more about extensive reading?
That Victoria's work is buried here in the list of studies. Okay, yes, I've seen them, they're very good. A little more about extensive reading. The term is really free voluntary reading. Self-selected is the most important variable. My colleague, former student Cian Lee, did a series of 3 studies of sustained silent reading in which he systematically varied how it was set up. The biggest difference was letting students select their own reading. You can select all the books that you think are wonderful, that are based on movies, so they're going to like this and all that. But when you let them go, then it really works. To do this, you've got to have a lot of books because everybody's different. Have you noticed that? We have different ideas, different tastes, etc. And we need a lot of reading. I hope that our students, I would say starting like the middle of the first semester, can read for pleasure every day for a half an hour, just for fun. Then we'd see massive gains.
Yeah, I noticed the students coming down the hallway past our offices to this room that we have in the library now that Victoria's been stocking with books and books and books and books. Students come in, they check out a book, and it's amazing to see at first that there were a few students, and now there's more and more and more books coming and going and coming and going. And I believe our proficiency in the target language is going up because of that.
Easy way. We have found in sustained silent reading that if you look the first 2 weeks, a lot of kids aren't reading because they haven't found a book.
Sure.
You look at it in the middle of the semester, the reluctant readers are reading.
Right.
The ones who didn't want to, the bell rings and the teacher says, put down your books. One of the students who didn't like to read says, I want to finish this paragraph.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So comprehensible input, what you're saying, is something that everyone should be utilizing.
Thank you, Pete.
There you go. There you go. Well, maybe sign your 82 book for me. All right. Just in a little bit. Fantastic. I just wanted to.
I have to put in a commercial message.
Well, do.
Look at the top of the page. At the top of the page is my website, stkrashen.com. Operators are standing by. And that's where there's a lot of articles, free download. Don't ask me for permission. You can use it for weddings, bar mitzvahs, birthday parties.